Welcome, everybody. Another episode of Drink While You Think. We're going to say this episode is sponsored by our friends at
That Merchant, baby.
That Merchant. That's right.
Merchant. Oh, are they going to pay us for this? Oh,
yeah.
I forgot to tell Sal that he gets to
With
pay us.
Sal's time on here. Yeah, but as usual,
Right
we got
here. There's
yeah,
this
right
promotion
there.
right here you're going to put in there later on.
Click here. Click right here for this promotion.
I like the style asking for sponsorship after they agreed to be on this.
Yeah.
I like.
It's a pretty bad idea, right? We're pretty bad at business if we're like we ask afterwards after Sal's already in the video, but that's not the point. But as always, excited to have folks here. I'm Kenji, Matthew, and today we've got Sal with us, our buddy from Fat Merchant and a great tech stack partner. Sal, tell us about what's going on with you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I'm assuming you didn't say my last name because it's 11 characters long. It took me 2 years to get out of kindergarten with that. Most people were trying to color in the lines. I was still writing my name. I also get like 15 extra minutes on the SATs just to bubble it in. But all is going well, The world is going around still, and there's probably a lot of shit going on. But in general, the Fat Merchant team surviving as well. We're a 110-person organization doing payment technology. So like anything else, SMBs are sort of dealing with stuff, and we're just here trying to help them navigate through the world.
Awesome, bud. And so I saw you had something mixed up there. What do you got drinking? What are you drinking there? I
am drinking a ranch water. It is Casamigos. Don't judge. It's the big bottle. And
Casamigos, good stuff.
Soy and some lime juice. It's basically it's like the poor man's version of a margarita. It's considered ranch water. It's like for like ranches back in Mexico, etc. They drink a version of it. So
isn't that and isn't that a thing like the Pico? You see that a lot of times. They use.
Oh yes, that's the exact the soda water.
That's a solid move right there, Matthew. What do you got? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking. It was the biggest beer in my fridge because it's been that kind of week. I'm drinking a pale ale called You and I, which looks like.
That's a big boy.
It's a Greenville from the Birds Fly South Ale project. So
okay, what's the brewery?
It was the only pint I had in there.
Okay.
So a 4.5%. So
4.5. You're fine. And I've got I went with it's a good classic, the Highligh IPA from Tampa. I knew it wasn't exactly Orlando where Sal's at, but I'm like, okay, we got to rep Florida a little bit.
Yeah,
Highlih's a good classic one. So cheers, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. Dude, speaking of Orlando, because you guys know Orlando, I mean, okay, literally like the most visited destination in the entire United States. What is going on right now there? Like, what is Orlando like in all this stuff?
I think it's 77 million people a year. I want to say,
yeah,
something like that.
I saw it's the size of the country of Germany. If Germany were to come to like the city of Orlando every year, that's what it would be.
Orlando, how's it right now? Well, it's essential businesses only, and so everything's still open. No, I've seen this list. It's like it's if I read it to you, it's I think the one of them I read is if you do business via phone, you're allowed to, and I'm like, well, that's basically everybody. But no, right now things are okay. I think theme parks closed down. It's the first time Disney ever really does much, so that's sort of material impact and seeing how some of that stuff trickles out. But I feel like every conversation's around Corona right now, so it's a bit sort of overload. I'm trying to avoid having more and more conversations about it. But at the end of the day, I think people are just figuring it out, and life's going on, and people are just trying to navigate. I think that's really it.
So iDrive's not out there just like, going crazy like usual. It's not just, the...
No, I mean, if you look at the maps, I'm sure it's the same thing in Atlanta. Every road is green right now, and you can get anywhere in 10, 15 minutes, basically anywhere you got to get to, which is pretty rare. But no, I think Disney, Universal, all that slowed down. Obviously, our airports are sort of dead empty right now. And, I'm sure we're facing the economy. But Orlando actually has a slogan. It's called "You Don't Know the Half of It," which is actually meant because people think of Orlando as just Disney World, which theoretically it's located in Kissimmee. But there's a whole population of healthcare out in Lake Nona, startups such as us. There's a big incubator population that's out here. KPMG, which I'm sure you're familiar with in the accounting world, moved their headquarter facility for their training facility down here. So they have 40,000 people that come through on an annual basis here Deloitte moved their finance team here. Verizon moved their finance headquarters here. There's a lot of things that are actually happening around that people just aren't totally aware of, but all that stuff's still going.
It's crazy. It's why, yeah, I've got a bunch of family down in Orlando, so we've been in touch about all this stuff, and they're probably on the other half of where their business is related to the theme park. So that's all I ever hear about is the theme parks and all the stuff going on there. But having come down there quite a bit, yeah, there's a pretty cool ecosystem, I think, that people don't think about, of other great businesses down there in the central Florida area. So
yeah, which was the incubator you go to down there when you're there?
So we usually 2015.
Kenji. Oh, sorry. I was asking.
Well, no, I popped into one there, but the one I used to go over to was Tampa. So the Tampa Bay Wave, and those folks used to pop in. Like I get bored in Orlando, and now that I know that Sal's there, like if I get bored next time I'm with my in-laws, I'm coming to hang with Sal.
We have a full speakeasy in our office. It's behind a closed door. We're actually we're building our new office. I'll screen share some pictures with you at some point if you want to. But
that'd be awesome.
No, yeah, we definitely know how to have fun. We have trying to find the politically correct term, a youthful organization, I think. And so we definitely get after it. And no, we're smack dab in the middle of downtown. So being able to have that part's weird just because everything's kind of calm now. And I think that's what we probably miss more than anything is just like the energy and the culture of us. I know so many companies are remote in general. Yeah. We're really well positioned. We have Zoom, we have Slack, we got everything you need. But there's just something else about like walking around the office and high-fiving people and having I feel like I've been talking on Slack in just all caps just so people know how much energy I have right now.
But yeah, you guys do have a youthful crew and actually a very fun-loving crew. We've hung out with you guys quite a bit.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like at QuickBooks Connect and hanging with Tommy and the crew and the guys there. Yeah, you guys have a very fun group to hang out with. So we'll have to get back to this physical distancing nonsense behind us and get back into our normal way of hanging with you guys a little bit more often. But so Matthew and I noticed something. Okay, we always do a little bit of research on on everyone we bring on. You mentioned it before I did, Matthew, but you had something to ask about Sal's background.
Yes, I didn't know this about you.
Oh God.
On LinkedIn, it says you started your career as a bookkeeper. Tell us about your first job as a bookkeeper.
In college or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, no. I'm raised Pakistani, so my parents are Pakistani. So we first world immigrants coming down for my parents, and so my dad's got a really cool story. He used to make fireproof suits for, I want to say, the U.S. Army and Chicago. Wow. He has this true story, $100 in his pocket, like every stereotype you can think of. Came in, was making $18 an hour. This is 1982, so he was doing well. And he ended up, he bought a Celine Dion CD with his first paycheck. I still know that as well. Big 80s guy. And he ended up, he actually lost his thumb in a machinery accident. Sad part of the story. But anyway, he ended up with a settlement check, bought his first convenience store. And he turned it into 8 convenience stores. American dream, had $1 million of cash, etc. Decided to retire at the age of 28. Didn't last long, but we moved to Karachi, Pakistan. So I actually moved when I was 5 there. My dad wanted us to learn the culture, language, etc. And then we came back. So he came back to the United States about 5 years later, and he started doing the same thing. So built up a bunch of businesses again. And me and my sister, so Samir and I are siblings. Samir's CEO of Fat Merchant, president of Fat Merchant. So I have to work with my sibling every day. For anybody that knows how exciting that can be. But really, we just traveled and moved around so much. We were always best friends. And during this process, Dad would make us basically do everything for all the stores. So I would have to do QuickBooks across a pizza parlor. We own nightclubs, a pizza parlor, 2 bars, a restaurant, and 3 convenience stores, a Church's Chicken, if you know what that is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I would literally have to go to Sam's Club, pick up like 40 grand worth of cigarettes, and then walk somewhere else and pick up like pizza dough and then write checks. This was literally, and I'm 15, by the way. And this was our after school activity. And so we would have to do this. And then every Saturday we would, Saturday night, I would valet park cars for the club. My sister would be the door girl. This is all true story, by the way. So that is literally that. My bookkeeping, Serena Enterprises, or I believe that's what the logo might say. It's just my LLC, and it was just basically a conglomerate of 15 other businesses. What's funny is that I ended up with the entrepreneur gene in there. Samira didn't, even though she started Fat Merchant. She left, went to Altria, and I refused to, like, I was in school, I was University of Florida, didn't really want to do it. And my dad gave me a $40,000 loan sponsored by the First Bank of Dad to start the Burger Bar, which is my second gig. And I
saw that also on LinkedIn. Yeah, the Burger Bar.
I started a burger restaurant in the Sanford Mall, another true story. I was 19 years old, 18-hour shifts. The burgers were themed after alcoholic beverages, so sticking with the theme. It was like a dirty martini burger would be like blue cheese, olives. A mojito burger would be like guacamole, etc. And the reality of the theme was we got the first license in Simon Property Groups to be able to sell alcohol in the mall. So who doesn't want us to buy alcohol in the mall? So across the United States, we had an actual license to be able to sell it across. It didn't go too well. Year and a half in, I think we made $55,000 total amongst like 8 of us. So, yeah.
Wow.
And divides up poorly.
And then I went to a real kind of firm and ended up at Deloitte doing consulting.
Man, okay. We're always kind of looking for little nitpicks. We're like, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what those things are back on LinkedIn. I had no idea it was going to be honestly that cool or funky story. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, it got wild. And then my journey's been crazy. Even at Deloitte, I was there during like sales performance management boom. So think when like software got cool and all these transactional companies were like, oh, we can't just charge $1 million for this. We should charge $500,000 a year and we get services revenue. It's so much more. And they had to figure out how to deal with cash flow at that time, right? It's like, wait, we're not going to get $1 million up front. We're only going to take 400,000 right now over the course of 5 years. Like our P&L is going to go upside down, but we still have to pay a rep against $1 million. And so everybody just didn't understand how to design a comp plan or what to do here. And I worked at Fortune 50 companies, so HP, VMware, Symantec. Yeah. And I was literally on a plane. I did 212 nights, back-to-back years in a hotel. I lived in like Singapore, Brussels, Stuttgart, Germany, God name it. Basically touring around those 3 large companies and trying to teach them how they have to transition incentive plans, comp plans, et cetera, in each one of these organizations. It was wild.
Man.
I've had some fun experiences.
Yeah, definitely have had some. And so now you're working, I mean, it sounds, I was going to say, I had this in my notes earlier, like you and your sister working together. But then again, it sounds like you guys have been in a family kind of working together for a long time since you were kids. But
we went our own ways, but so Sarah and I always have a great relationship. And to this day, she's probably still my best friend, and we bicker, we bitch, we have our own things as always. But I think there's a level of trust that just comes through. I think it's uncomfortable for everybody else around us. That's probably more the challenge, because her and I can just like bitch at each other in front of a room and understand that there's probably more to it and it's okay, and everybody else's eyes in the room. So we had to like bring in an organizational coach to like teach us two how to deal with everybody else, not just.
I know what you mean there, because this.
Yeah, we have a little bit of that going on. We've been told that. Like, are you sure you guys aren't related somehow? Because the way you guys two bicker and fight, and
when you're with somebody for so long, you understand that so much of it's not personal, right? And it's okay to be so demanding about your opinion, and you become more and more opinionated over time because you understand that you're almost selling all the time to that person, right? You always have to like take an angle, all this stuff, and amongst everybody else, they show up with facts and things. I don't really care. So for me with Samira, I'll be like, that's cool that you think this. We're doing this. Like I can just there. And everybody else, I have to be like, oh, interesting. Okay. Like there's a journey, and there's no journey here. It's just like directly to it. And I think that everybody else is like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh yeah. That's a very, even though I don't work in one, I mean, Matthew and I kind of act like brothers. You come from like your families had family businesses, Matthew, my in-laws in Florida, family businesses. And yeah, it is interesting when you watch like how, other people like have a hard time understanding how like siblings and family members like interact together. Like it is a little bit funky, but I mean, that's cool. You guys are working there and making it work. But so all this COVID stuff, things keep changing. As of last week, I saw that, okay, here's the new stimulus package. They're going to start cutting checks to people to help stimulate the economy. And we were like, checks? Really? Like people are going to write like checks in this day and age? I mean, I assume anytime you see any form of payment in a check, it just makes you want to like throw up and like what the hell are we doing? And then realizing that like our entire country was trying to stimulate the economy by writing freaking paper checks. Like, I mean, please tell you guys, Fat Merchant don't write checks or anything anymore, do you?
Said no, we don't.
I was going to say, I hope not. I hope not.
I don't even know if I own a personal one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd have a hard time finding one right now. And I saw that. I think they've changed that. I think I saw that they've updated that, and they're going to look for however you paid your taxes last year.
Yeah, they're going to try to do it through, if you paid through auto deposit.
Exactly. But as of last week, it was like, are you kidding me? They're going to literally.
They actually had a proposal to do a version of their own currency, like almost like a Bitcoin version of a currency.
Really?
And yes, they wanted to do a currency so they could actually, they said that they would have like a 12-month clause on the currency, and that way they can track where the currency ends up over time. And then after 12 months, they would call back that currency to trade it back in for dollars.
This was my idea. So
was it?
I have a US cryptocurrency proposal.
First time I've heard of this. Your idea.
I don't watch your Loom videos on Slack, and you don't read my blogs. It's an understanding that we have. It's all right, dude. It's okay.
I don't pay attention to you. Yeah, that's.
On one of my blogs, I was like, oh, if the U.S. can, not for this COVID, but about a year ago, I blogged like, hey, we should have just issue $2 trillion of currency.
Yeah.
And then by just the transaction fees that you could charge, like just if you charge a little transaction fee by running the network.
Yeah.
At Visa volumes, you no longer had to have payroll tax in the United States.
But like, this is fascinating because if you tie it directly to a stimulus package, right, a particular currency, you can issue it, your ability to track it, right, and to see what its impact was in a very discrete way, that's super cool. Like that's actually kind of really cool. Like,
I think the whole point was who's going to accept it, and then acceptance down to the level was where the struggle came in, which was like, if you just go into banks and then our banking institutions are the one going to end up holding it. And then
it would have to be to this. It would have to be to this. That's the only way you could distribute it.
Yeah, but even that, then how is a merchant at the SMB level going to take it, right? Like, do you have to enable their terminal? Do you have to enable all this stuff? I mean, there's so much new technology that's always happening in the world, but some of these SMBs end up getting left behind. Even if you think about like Apple Pay, EMV, all this new stuff you see, the amount of work that we have to do to even educate. I mean, you have to have walked into a place that still to this day says no credit card less than $10, or are using the old terminal that you have to swipe on and you enter your keys on a gray and black keyboard. Like that still exists across all over the world, not only in the United States. And so just being able to bring them up to speed is a lot of work.
That's gotta be, because I remember, I had you guys were right in the heart of this, like when all the chip technology came in place, right? Like retrofitting and going, that was a huge deal. It was a massive deal. And still a ton of people haven't even done it yet. Like I see all the time, I'm like, what kind of terminal are you using over there?
Yeah.
But yeah, so just thinking about that, like how hard it would be to get people to get on some platform. Matthew's worked with a few different, crypto enablement, or payment enablement solutions out there, but thinking about deploying that like in a short time frame across the US, no way. It'd be
crazy.
A disaster.
That stuff's crazy. There are a couple cool programs they launched. Today's approval of that is it the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program or something like that?
Yep,
that
PPP.
Probably affects a lot of your audiences more than anybody with that one, which is like the 500 employees and 2.5 months, I think, is payroll, utilities, and rent. It's sort of a calculator.
So 2.5 months of whatever your average monthly payroll is, and then you can apply that toward all kinds of things. Really, everything. We were talking about it, like you can't use it for like acquisitions or going and doing some huge build out.
Good.
Yeah. But it's been pretty interesting, and kind of figuring out how much is going to end up being a lot of that forgiven potentially. So, the cool thing is, lots of kind of some cool ideas actually. I'm like you, Sal, where I'm like, it's kind of interesting seeing we're kind of spinning up good ideas, but there are a bunch of them are overlapping on top of each other and creating a whole bunch of confusion. Like, well, is this the same loan that the SBA put out last week, or is it? So we're fielding all these crazy calls right now with people who are like, I don't get it. We're like, don't feel bad. Like nobody really quite gets it.
An hour ago. Yeah. Times are weird. I think that it's interesting because I was on the phone with a couple of Visa executives the other day, and it's the same thing. I think this is where like innovation is forced to be born. So there's some good. As much as the world's going crazy right now, there's we start to. I think forcing everybody to become technology adoptive. This Zoom interview for probably 3 of us was never a problem, but for, I don't know, half America, it probably is still. And it's like, how do we sort of bring that up to speed and then continuously trying to understand how do we get better here? So I am excited about to see the innovation that comes from it. Things like force that. I think each one of these, I think there's a couple Henry Ford quotes, and et cetera. Even Fat Merchant, I think the time Sanera built the idea, we ended up getting stormed in Dallas, Texas, through a snowstorm, and we were watching Shark Tank, and we're bored, and like this is where all this shit came from. It was like during these times, there's nothing else going on. It's like you get to think and spend time on the business. I think that's really where it is. You just get to spend time with things you don't actually get to spend time on.
We've been having that same conversation with a bunch of other business owners too, where just the massive disruption, and this really, I mean, to make sure everyone's clear on this, goes outside of the terrible toll this is going to take on human lives and things like this,
Absolutely.
which we're all on the same page for. But when these crises pop up, it creates some pretty interesting intellectual discussions about how are we going to change? What's the mindset going to be like? And so that, at least, I think, is a good way that we found to keep the team kind of focused and energized on, all right, let's figure out new ways to help people through this. But it's certainly interesting. I guess you mentioned a second ago an example of when you guys were doing this in Dallas.
Yeah.
I know Matthew brought this point up to me, and I'll let him kind of field it, but like, is there some kind of weird?
This brings up an important non-COVID point.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on the most important debate of the day, probably in some of your circles, on Dak Prescott?
Oh God. I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I bleed blue and white. I'm a Mavs fan, a Cowboys fan. I go to 2 games a year. I fly out to Dallas 1 game. Was in the Atlanta game was last year that I went to here. I went to the Minnesota Vikings game in the Dallas Stadium. You know what's funny is the Dallas Cowboys fans get so much shit.
Yeah.
First of all, not to age anyone. So I'm 30. So for me, born 1989, I didn't see 92, 93, 95. I was like 5.
Yeah.
So for me, my entire history of the Dallas Cowboys is sub 500. Right. So I already have so much misery that I don't understand why people hate against me. There's no reason. Me and the Cleveland Browns have the same amount of fucking wins. Right. So, calm down. So I just want to set that tone here first for people that go off on the Dallas Cowboys fan for one moment, because we all feel the pain, and I'm like, just relax. We feel it ourselves. 2, I'm a Dak Prescott fan. I am. I think that Jerry Jones is one of those guys that he has to win the argument. And so because he has to win, even when it's in his self-interest to not, he would rather pay the consequences. That's the Zeke Who comment. He'd still pay him. And I still feel like he's going to pay Dak Prescott. And they'll find the median ground, whatever that is. But I think that he just has to always be the winner. And that's just who he is culturally. And he's willing to pay. And he's somebody that will actually walk out of that he will show up with Cooper Rush. And neither of you know who Cooper Rush is. And he's the backup quarterback that's never played a fucking snap because he's Jerry Jones. And so I think it'll get done. I mean, he's franchise tag. It'll get done. I'd be shocked if in a week or 2 from now it won't get done.
So I'm a converted Cowboys fan. I grew up a Cowboys fan. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I post, some of the fantasy football dilution of your own team's kind of thing. I actually switched allegiance to Atlanta about, what do you think, about 10 years ago?
Yeah, probably right. Yeah.
Years ago? Yeah. So, but my all-time favorite Dallas Cowboys is way before your time, because I'm a little older than you, but Everson Walls.
Okay.
That is. So you have to.
I have, here's Tony Dorsett signed right here in my office.
Oh, see,
look at that.
So that was my team growing up. Dorsett was on the team on the offense with Danny White. I'm post Roger Staubach, so I never saw Roger Staubach. But I was Danny White, Tony Dorsett, Drew Pearson, Tony Hill. That was the offense, and then on the defense, it was like Too Tall Jones. On the corners, you had, Everson Walls in the back, and the secondary with Ron Fellows. So I go back.
So why Atlanta? Just because you moved there, they kind of took over for you?
Yeah. Well, after, the way Jerry Jones treated Tom Landry, that was rough. Then the way he treated, he didn't let Aikman go out on his own terms. He let Emmett retire at Cardinal, like all that stuff.
But that actually gets exactly to, I think, what Sal said about Jerry's personality. That's exactly kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, in many cases, he's going to probably get to a middle ground. But I think you nailed it. Like he's He owns the franchise. He's going to have to win the argument. He's going to have to be the
winner.
winner.
I think they offered him, AT&T offered him $270 million to name the stadium, and he wanted $300 million, and he called the stadium Cowboys Stadium for the first 3 years. By the way, anybody can do math. He left $1 billion on the table because he was like, "Fuck it. If you're not going to pay me my price, I'll call it Cowboys Stadium." And that's who he is. It has nothing. You pay his price or don't. It doesn't matter to him.
Doesn't matter.
And then the other side, which I love while we're in this debate, Mark Cuban, you're seeing on everything now. I do believe he's going to make a presidential run.
I hope so. I personally actually hope so.
And so do I. I think that he's like the perfect middle road, like both sides like him. He's like our version of the Reagan Kennedy blank. Doesn't matter if you're right, blue, yellow, white, whatever you like to call it. But I feel like he fits the general mold. But
I don't know. I had him as a dark horse until he talked to Venture Atlanta about it and said his wife wouldn't let him do it.
I think it's changing.
My dark horse, I got a dark horse for you for the presidential race right now. Did anybody see that Bill Gates stepped off the Microsoft board?
Yeah.
Yep. Gates stepped off the Microsoft board. He's 5 years ago out there talking about what we should do for the pandemics. Like he's got a TED talk out there 5 years ago, how we should prepare for it. Dude,
I mean, I would.
If that guy wants to run. Nobody's beating him.
That would be interesting as well too. But I think he's focused more on his foundation. He was on CNN today actually talking about this, and I mean, again, I'm like, okay, I'll listen to that. Like, I want to listen to him or folks who are out there actually addressing the real issues. But yeah, that's I kind of like that theory. I mean, who knows?
I'm just saying, I love the Cuban idea, and then I was like, ooh, but Gates, like right now, Gates could win as a third-party candidate.
Probably in today's day and age, who knows?
Dude, who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, it's just the
saying.
wild, wild west. So
now that's as deep as we've gone into politics on the show ever.
Yeah, we used to stay away from that shit. We're like,
Mark Cuban and Bill Gates as the presidential
all
candidate.
I'll say is hats off to anybody that wants to have the debate. I really don't care if you're blue, red, white, whatever you want to be. Shit's crazy out there. Kudos to anybody that wants to deal with it. It doesn't matter what you're going to do, you're going to be wrong. So I have respect for every CEO out there, every single person that's going through shit right now. I don't want to be in their shoes. I'm sure it's not fun navigating it. So
no. But of course, here are three entrepreneurs talking about it. Who are we interested in? Yeah, Cuban and and Gates, guys who built companies.
Yeah,
I guess the current guy in office also built one too, but still, I mean, it's what are you going to
inherited
anyway.
one.
Whole different conversation. But
that's true. But dude, this was awesome, man. This is, I mean, what a fun, like, hearing the whole story of, man, talk about entrepreneurial roots running through the veins from a very early age and how cool that was. You guys have been just a total kick-ass partner with us at the QED. Our team loves working with you guys. But beyond that, dude, this has just been fun hanging out. I can't wait to, all this stuff to blow over and for us to be doing this more often again, face to face.
Do some high fives.
Cowboys game, that's right.
Yes, Cowboys, let's do it. We'll do
let's go.
Immersion team thing.
When is it? Yeah. Is it in Atlanta or Dallas this year?
I mean, let's see if we have it this year. But once we figure that out, well, I don't know yet, but I'm sure we'll get there. If anything, we'll see you in the playoffs. Hopefully.
Well, we're big tailgaters.
So. Oh, are you?
Oh yeah.
I gotta say the stadium is really, really cool. A lot of fun. There were some audio issues. I went there early on, but I think they got those fixed out. But it is gorgeous. It is a ton of fun to be in there. But and your office space. So thank you guys for having us as well there. I know we got to check that out. But now this has been fun. It's exciting. Hopefully you guys get to come down. We'd love to celebrate with you guys down here in Orlando when we get to cut our ribbon ceremony here shortly. And yeah.
Next time, we come down to quite a bit, so we need to do that more often. Is come hang with you guys, and that definitely, let's find a way to make the Cowboys Falcons thing happen. Let's do it. Yeah. So, cool. Well, man, Sal, appreciate you. Cheers again. Thanks for having everybody on, and we'll see you next time on Drink While You Think. Do you want to rate it, Matthew? Beer? Okay, hold on, Matthew. All right, we'll rate your beer.
He always forgets like all this like random stuff.
Okay, I've got it pulled up here. Hold on.
You got the U and I.
What is it called? Tell me what it is.
This is called the U and I. With an and sign. No, you. Like Y-O-U.
Hey, look at that beer right there. Someone's got the Fuck You Brewing Company. Anyway, so you and I don't see it. You and I.
Oh. How about?
What kind of beer are you drinking? What's the brewery, dude?
I'm looking.
Good Lord, you're old. I'll do mine real quick. Highligh.
Dude, sorry.
Figure is that. I love the Highligh. I'm gonna give the Highligh. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go 4. I really like the Highligh. I'm sorry. I like the Highligh. Highligh's one of my go-tos.
Birds Fly South. Does that help?
I don't know. But where did you?
There you go. Breweries.
There it is. Okay, let's figure. I mean, talk about again the production value. We're dragging people through this. So which one of these? Oh, there it is. The UNI Pale Ale. What are you giving it, Matthew?
I'm giving it 3.75.
3.75.
It's not bad.
You don't like the hoppy beers usually. It's probably mildly hoppy, but okay. You're opening. You're broadening your perspective. So
I'm trying.
If we could truly do, Casamigos in here and with the True Rancher, then we would. But it's more of a beer set. But that's always a good tequila right there.
Take a shot with you guys. There you go. Cheers.
Yes.
That's a good way to end it. And then we kill everything.
Cheers, guys. See you next time.